All right, everyone. Now we have to talk about the unconstitutional anti-gunnery in the state of Illinois, which is still being embattled legally to some extent. Under the Bruin decision, this should not exist. The state of Illinois requires all sorts of licensing and registrations and all sorts of shit for guns that shouldn't exist, and also bans a number of people from owning weapons, partially under the red flag system, which is also unconstitutional. Partially, if a person has like a mental illness, they're not supposed to have a gun. It's supposed to turn it into a safe transfer to somebody who holds a license who can hold the gun for them. Now, mental ill seems, I've seen conservatives, by the way. Let me gripe for a moment about supposedly pro-gun right-wingers. They say, well, there should be an exception for people that are mentally ill. They shouldn't be able to own guns. Because oftentimes, with mass shootings and stuff, you have an overlap with mental illness. That's perfectly fine if you use the definition of mentally ill that would have been accepted by the people around in the late 1700s. Criminal lunacy. People who should be in an asylum. If a person is not so dangerous to society that they should be locked away or are currently locked away, they should be understood as members of the militia. If they're allowed to go about normal people, and by the way, they can buy a flamethrower, they can buy black powder weapons, they can buy blades, they can buy bows and all of these things. It's just modern firearms are too scary. They're specifically uniquely deadly compared to all of these other things. They can buy a car. If you trust a person to drive a big rig down the highway, potentially smattering everyone in their way, or operate a bulldozer. God, look at what the Killdozer accomplished. Tens of millions in damage, by the way. The Killdozer, fun thing. Look it up if you don't know what that is. Interesting footage, too. Tried to stop it. Even anti-material rifles wouldn't take it down. It took the military in the end, I believe. Anyway, if you trust a person to be able to operate a bulldozer, or a big rig, or to buy all of these other weapons, again, including flamethrowers with pre-mixed napalm fuel, they're all available to anyone that can establish that they're 18 or above, then they should be able to own any other weapon that they choose. This would be the litmus test for the founders. Here's the militia. The militia is the people at large able to muster. In order to be well regulated, you have to be well capable of functioning in both the disorganized and organized militia role. That's the litmus test that the founders applied. So if you're not a citizen, you're not militia. If you're infirm in some way so you can't wield a musket, you wouldn't be a member of the militia. You're an invalid at that point. If you are under the age of majority, so these days it's 18, it used to be 21, you're not a member of the militia. Your children can use guns. They're allowed to wield them. They're just not allowed to buy them. A parent can supply them with a gun and they can go hunting and stuff like that. That's fine, but they're not a member of the militia. A 12-year-old is incapable of mustering and drilling and doing the things that a member of the militia would need to do to defend themselves, their home, their family, their property, their country. Or you're a criminal, lunatic, or currently incarcerated. Everyone else is militia. The fact that a person has made vaguely threatening comments online would not be conceived of by the founders as a diminution of their ability to function as a member of the militia. There were hotheads in the militia back then. There were drunks in the militia, most of them. There were people that used opioids that were members of the militia. They were still considered militia. If they're not currently incarcerated in the loony bin, and we should bring back the asylum system, in my opinion, it's better than the system we use now with all outpatient, just hand a man antidepressants. And they're not in prison, and they're not uniquely understood to be an irrationally violent individual as noted by everyone around them. So a violent felon, they would no longer be a member of the militia. A violent felon. Everyone else is. So when I see that tens of thousands of people in Illinois that are supposed to turn in their firearms have not done so, I say huzzah. And by the way, to the people of Illinois, if you ever get a case where one of these people is dragged in and they haven't committed any other crime, and they're clearly not a lunatic, you should use jury nullification to find them not guilty even when they're clearly guilty. The same should apply everywhere else in the United States. Under the Supreme Court's decision under Bruin, all anti-gunnery of a modern sense is null and void. Those laws are themselves illegal. It's not only the right, but the responsibility of U.S. citizens to nullify these anti-gun rules by finding defendants not guilty where no other significant crime has been allotted to them. For example, persons in Vermont, here, you're only supposed to have 10-round mags for your rifle, unless they're the old ones that are grandfathered in. Those are allowed. They can still be transferred, which kind of nullifies the concept. There's probably 10 mags for every goddamn rifle in the state, so it's not like they're not going to be hard to obtain or anything like that. I choose not to because I don't want any problems, because I've got a political target on my back for the same reason that I overpay on my taxes by thousands of dollars a year. But for, people that want them, they are there. But let's say that somebody gets a 30-round mag over in New Hampshire and comes back with it. They're breaking the law. Have they attacked anyone? No. Have they shown themselves to be uniquely violent? No. Have they shown themselves to be a loony? No. Have they done anything to anyone other than buy a piece of polymer with a spring inside of it? No. Find them not guilty. If I'm on a jury and that's the charge, I'm going to hang the jury. Absolutely, I'll use jury. I can't even serve on a jury because I'm too open about the fact that I know what nullification is. I would call on Illinois residents to basically grant blanket amnesty to these people. They're the sheriff's office coming out, well, this is a big problem. It's a big crisis. We have tens of thousands of firearms that shouldn't be out there. They're unaccounted for. Apparently, they don't have any system to compel you to give up the gun. Apparently, they can't do jack shit about it. It's a watered-down law anyway. And more than 2/3 of the people that are subject to this particular anti-gunnery haven't cooperated. It's like 3/4 of them haven't given up the guns. Good on them. If you're not committing any other crime, nobody should have a problem with it. Many of them will be in rural and small town areas where they might get a sympathetic jury as well. Nullify it. We need to nullify all anti-drug laws and all anti-gun laws, and we need to start nullifying a lot of other shit as well. That's what needs to be done. Support your fellow citizens in their right to keep and bear arms as lawful members of the militia. The fact that a person was rumored to be violent because they made a Facebook post last year does not mean that they're going to pop off and shoot a bunch of people. And the fact is that when they go door to door trying to confiscate these weapons, that's when horror happens. If I was like the sheriff and I get, so-and-so at Joe Schmo Street over there has a gun, they're not supposed to have it. Do you genuinely think that I'm going to go there and try to get it? Fuck no. I'm not paid enough for that. Do you think that I'm going to send a deputy to potentially get shot at because somebody who has committed no actual crime whatsoever has been artificially deemed unworthy of owning a firearm? Again, in direct contravention of McDonald v. Chicago, DC v. Heller, the Bruin decision, and everything else that's happened over the last 20 years with regards to gun laws? You think I want to try to violate somebody's constitutional rights as an elected official, as sheriff or whatever, and put myself in harm's way or put my deputy in harm's way for absolutely no fucking reason? Bullshit. Yeah, you can go, you fuck yourself. I'll tell him that on the radio. Maybe I should run for sheriff. Guarantee I'd get reelected. Yeah, I don't have a problem with you. A little bit of public intoxication. Go home. You hold your liquor, dude. Yeah, that'd be the kind of sheriff I'd be. You have to do something actually meaningful for me to bother going to the call. Domestic dispute, I'll show up and try to arbitrate. Someone got shot, okay, fall in, boys. But if I get a call, hey, this Joe Shit the Ragman has a 30-round magazine that he just bought. Okay. And why is that my problem? Has he shot anyone? No. Is he threatening to shoot anyone? No. Did he beat someone to death with the mag? No. Yeah, well, shit to me. Bye. That's how you should be a sheriff. We need more of that, a little bit of differential enforcement, preferably on the non-authoritarian side. That's what we need more of in the United States. Should be more of an Andy Griffith thing. Get to know your community. You don't need to show up with guns blazing or something. You know how to deal with these people. They live in your own community. That's why I think that an all-sheriff policing system is a better idea, by the way. By the way, haven't most sheriff's organizations in the United States rallied behind pro-gun sentiment number one and opposition to even enforcing some of the state anti-gunnery that exists, like in Maryland? They're not going door to door to collect people's mags or their assault weapons. Why do you think that? Oh yeah, let's try to disarm a million people at gunpoint. It'll go over well with the population. Nobody will fight back. There will be no casualties of any kind. It'll go off without a hitch, I'm sure. Politicians design these laws, but they aren't the ones that have to enforce them, in other words. Nullify the juries. Good on the people of Illinois that are retaining their right to bear arms. Unless you're a criminal lunatic or a specifically violent felon, you shouldn't be able to be retroactively punished after you've already gotten out of the jail or the asylum or something simply because a politician doesn't trust you with a firearm. It's bullshit. And under Bruin, it's also illegal. That's about all. Peace out.